We created The Messengers, a podcast documentary, because many of us would go back to our families and say we're podcasting, and our parents, spouses, cousins, friends would say, I don't see what you're doing. And literally what they were saying is there's no visual component to see what you're doing. So we created a documentary movie to show them what is podcasting. So check it out. It's on Amazon and iTunes.
Here we are. I'm getting ready to go in. Come take a walk with me. Turn this camera around. Or not.
Whatever success looks like for you and your podcast. And this is where the visibility is, right? It's at the top. Like our podcast is at the top of this funnel, right? Everything that happens in our business or the things behind our podcast happens after that visibility, but you have to have this funnel in mind, right? Even at the top of the funnel.
Karen Yankovic, I knew of her going back to Blab, and it was awesome to meet her in person. She's a terrific speaker as well, somebody with a lot of insights into LinkedIn. Do you know about the Find Nearby feature? If you don't, check that out. Go into your LinkedIn when you're on your mobile app. Go into the networking or your network. Click that, and at the top it'll say Find Nearby. So if you're at a conference or you're at an event, you can tell other people to open up their Find Nearby on LinkedIn, and you can connect with everybody at an event, everybody around you.
As a podcaster, right, they hear our voice. What do you think the next thing they do is? It's probably not see you in this room. They probably throw your name into a Google search, right? Your first impression might be this. It probably is, right? Your first impression to most of the people in your audience is not going to be when you walk in a room and shake their hand. It's going to be what comes up when they throw your name in a Google search. You have control of that if you use LinkedIn properly, if you use LinkedIn to tell the world what you want them to know about you. And we're not really going to, because I like this, refer to LinkedIn as my money tree, right? Because that is really how I support myself in my business. I use LinkedIn to drive people to do what I want them to do, build relationships that are profitable.
Emily Prokop was terrific. She talked about her new book, all about the story behind, the same name as her podcast, and how you might be able to come up with a book that you can write for your promoting your brand, your podcast, just the joy of becoming a published author. Don't do it because you think you're going to get rich or famous, but if it's something that interests you, something you'd like to do, that is something, it can be done. You just have to set a schedule, and you have to really take that first step every day, doing something that gets you towards putting those first words on a page.
The next thing is, who's the reader? And again, this is going back to a lot of what you've heard in other podcasting sessions, is you want to think about your listener. With this, you want to think about your reader, and most likely you already know this, because your readers are most likely your listeners. If you don't already have a good idea of who your listener is, that will also help with this. Think about that ideal listener or book reader and describe all the details about them. Actually get an idea in your mind of what they look like. It looks like him. That's what it looks like. It looks like Joe Pardo over there. What they look like, what they don't like, who they are, what questions are they looking to your book for answers on, what are they hoping to get from your book?
Who else did we see that was terrific? Wonderful speaker on branding your podcast, on coming up with a branding positioning statement. Rebecca Gunter was her name. She actually offered everybody who attended her session a 20-minute call to kind of follow up and see how we put things into practice that she taught. She gave some notes. So I look forward to chatting with her at the end of the month.
That's the brand you're building. Because the wise woman once said, branding is a feeling. So it's about the feeling that you want to inspire in your customers. Where's my last one? Purposeful. Yeah. Here's your feelings. Passionate, new, purposeful, wannabes, committed, determined. These are your feelings of your current customers. What they're feeling now or what they want to be inspired to feel. So if fun is on here, it's not like podcasting is the most important thing. It's fun. It's purposeful. We know what we're doing. We know what we set out to do. This is that part of branding.
Lots of good speakers. John Thurman from HR Social Hour and the HR Social Hour half-hour podcast. A terrific podcast, terrific Twitter chat, and he was named one of the top 50 HR podcasts. Yes, there are a lot of HR podcasts, and congratulations to John on that. I connected with John Thurman long before I got into live streaming and podcasting, back when I was on HR Twitter chats, and it was awesome to finally meet him in person and hear him talk about his Twitter chat and his podcast and how the two of them feed off of each other. And I would highly recommend this. I'm definitely going to come back next year. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And thanks for following along. Hope everybody has enjoyed this look into DC Podfest, and look forward to coming back next year to Arlington, Virginia, or somewhere in the DC area for DC Podfest. Take care, everybody.